Hey everybody, this is Arkay from the Toy Tomb, and this time I want to talk about these Sideshow Universal Monsters. These came out in about 1998, and as you can see, they're sculpted beautifully. They came painted, they came put together. This is Boris Karloff as the Mummy from the very first Mummy movie. We only saw him like this in the Mummy at the beginning of the movie, where he was leaning back in the sarcophagus. We didn't actually get to see him walk around. But look at the detail that Sideshow put into this. The ring on his finger, the texture in the cloth, the scroll. Down here you have tablet, the logo from the movie, stating that it's Boris Karloff from 1932. There's even a chest for the Tano leaves. Really incredible detail. They did all the Universal monsters. You know, they did Frankenstein and Dracula, Wolfman. I had the Mummy, and I think this is everybody's favorite, is the Creature. Everybody loves the Creature from the Black Lagoon. Now, this is the Creature, and he's pretty articulate. He's got those menacing claws. He's got some details, too. He's got the spear gun that was seen in the movie, as well as the net that they spread to catch him. And he also has the marquee Creature from the Black Lagoon. And then he's just listed as the Creature, 1954. Now, Sideshow did a great job with these, and I don't remember why I didn't get the other monsters. Maybe they weren't available, but I do have these two from back then. They stand about 10 inches tall, and like I said, you can pose them or articulate. You can turn their heads and pose their arms. They're very well made. Sideshow also came out with big-headed miniature versions. Now, this is where things get interesting. Here's Karloff as the Mummy again. It's detailed. It sits on a stand. It's that, you know, that big head look, small body, big head, but still very well sculpted. And here's Frankenstein, definitely the Boris Karloff version, kind of a caricature, but very well sculpted, standing there with his hands down, his ankles shankled. His ankles shankled. I guess that's right. Shackled. The floor from a castle or something from the movie. It all fits. I know that there was a Creature from the Black Lagoon big head, but they didn't have one in stock in the store. And I know these things were selling pretty good. What they did have was something else that Sideshow came out with. Besides these hard plastic versions of the big heads, they came out with kind of like these rubber versions of the big heads without the stand. It was a keychain. And I thought, well, I'll get that. At least I'll have the Creature represented as a big head. Not that I'm into big heads, but I did want I did want the Creature. Problem with this thing was that I never knew what to do with it. I mean, it was detailed really nicely. There's his dorsal fin. There are all his gills. You know, they got his face. They got his face right. Even in the Aurora monster model, they put teeth on him. The Creature didn't have fangs. He didn't have teeth. So they did a really good job. Just that I wasn't going to use this as a keychain. So basically, for years I saw it like that, just laying on a shelf. I would like to display the Creature a little bit more appropriately. He needs a display that the Creature deserves. So I found this jelly jar not too long ago. I had jelly in it. I finished the jelly, and I thought, that's kind of cool. It's round. Didn't know what to do with this. Another one of those things that you have hanging around you don't know what to do with. And I put the Creature in there just to get him out of the way one day. I was picking stuff up. Just stuck it in there, and then I just kind of stuck up on the shelf, and I noticed that gave me an idea. Kind of looks a little bit like a fishbowl. So I thought, wait a minute. There's a display sitting in that jelly jar somehow. So what I did was I started thinking about how I could make the creature look more presentable in this globe of a jelly jar. I have a 3D printer. The 3D printers have come down in price. If you're into this kind of thing, or models or whatever, I highly recommend a 3D printer. Learning, CAD programs are getting easier. So what I did was I decided to make a base and just kind of make a more interesting look to this jelly jar. Now, one of the things I did was I wanted to show them off properly, so I went to Party City, and Party City has they sell these little LED lights. Here he is down there. They sell these little LED lights for balloons, of all things. Here's a close-up of the light that Party City sells. It's just a little LED. It's got a little notch at the bottom, and if you hold the notch and turn it, the LED lights up. There's a lot of things you can do with this, with models and miniatures, not just balloons. And where it's an LED light, it's going to last a while. You can't change the battery, but what you can do is you can buy a bag of these for a few bucks. I mean, they're not expensive at all, and keep them around. So my idea was to use this to light the base somehow of this jelly jar and get the creature in there and make it a nice display of it. And that's what I'm going to do. So I made this black plastic bottom, and inside you can see a notch that I measured with calipers so that when I put that in there, it holds the light perfectly. And here are the parts so far. I've got the creature glued into the top of the lid, and I've drilled a hole just big enough for that bulb to fit in, and make it tight enough so that when I turn the whole bottle, the whole jar, it'll turn the light on and off. The light's mounted in here, the label's on the front. This is a stabilizing ring that I made for the top of the jelly jar. That'll keep this steady in there. So I'm going to try and put it all together and see if my idea is actually going to work. Here's the finished creature in his new display. Now, as it turned out, I could not add the foliage, the spongy moss things that I wanted to add, because the glue would not stick to the glass. It would go in there and then it would just wipe right off. So I had problems with that. So it had to come down to just the creature being displayed as a light. And I did manage to add, as I said earlier, some gravel down there from an aquarium, but it really doesn't add much to it. So the whole deal is that this is just a light with a nice healthy glare from an overhead lamp here. But if I turn the lamp off, there he is. And the whole idea of the creature is that he pops out of the darkness. And just by turning it, I get a light. Now it's glaring like crazy on the video here. It looks much better when you're actually standing in front of it. But it's not a bad little display to go with the other two characters. In fact, it's kind of appropriate that with these cartoonish big heads, they have their little platforms, and the creature would be in a fishbowl. So it kind of works. Anyway, that was my idea. I gave it a shot. I think it came out okay. I would have liked the foliage in there, but all in all, not a bad use of an old keychain. Thanks for watching.
Oh boy! Yeah!
Hey, there's Hasbro! Hasbro makes toys! What's new, Hasbro?
Pretty sneaky, sis.
Remember, you can tell it's Mattel. It's
Okay, let them go. Some of the great SSP racers for 72.
M-A-R-X spells Mark, world's largest toy maker.
Remember, every boy wants a Remco toy, and so do girls.
And remember, if it isn't Duncan,
It isn't yo-yo.